We are starting our new unit today. Our focus in this unit is going to be learning how to graph quadratic functions. Those were the graphs or the equations that had x squared, and also applications of these types of equations. So before we look at, a bunch of extensive work here, we are going to start by looking at a very basic equation. The equation that we are going to be focused on is y equals x squared. This is the simplest of the quadratic equations. There's no additional numbers, no additional letters. It is simply y equals x squared. And we're going to graph it using the old-fashioned x and y table here. So if you remember, with x, y tables, to fill in the y values, we take each x value and we put it where x is in the equation. Now, let's make sure that we're writing it correctly on our paper, because however you write it on your paper is how you put it in the calculator. So I'm going to take -3 and put it right here where x is. Now, any time x is negative, you must use parentheses. So we're going to be typing in our calculator parentheses, -3, close those parentheses before you press the squared button. So type that in your calculator, parentheses, -3, close parentheses, squared, and you should get an answer of 9. We're going to do the same thing with -2. Parentheses, -2, close parentheses, squared. Pick up your calculators, type that in. It equals +4. So go ahead, pause the video, finish filling in this table, and then pick back up and we'll check your answers. Okay, so let's see how you did. This should have been parentheses, -1, close parentheses, squared. You should have gotten +1. Now that these are positive, you don't have to use parentheses, but you still can. So 0 squared, your calculator should have told you is 0. 1 squared is 1. 2 squared is 4. And 3 squared is 9. So now, I'm going to have you pause the video again. Take each pair of numbers and graph them. And a few reminders. X is always this guy. Y is always this guy. So pause, graph these 7 pairs, and let's see what shape we get. So let's see how you did. We're graphing -3, +9. That means we're going to go left 3 and up 9. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're up here. Left 2, up 4. 2 to the left, up 4. -1, +1. So left 1, up 1. Left 1, up 1. 0, 0. We know that that is in the very center. Next we have right 1, up 1, because it's positive now. So right 1, up 1. Then we have right 2 and up 4. Right 2, up 4. And then finally we have right 3 and up 9. So right 3 and up 9. Now let's take a look at what kind of shape we see here. The normal answer that I get is, oh, it looks like one of those V's we've done before. But it's not. If you try and take a straight line and connect these 4 dots, you can't make a straight line. This graph is going to be a curved U-shaped graph. So we're going to go from the center and curve up on the right side, and from the center, and we're going to curve up on the left side. So again, that curve is important. I do not want to see a point down here at the bottom. I want to see it curved. So let's talk about a couple of important words that come along with these graphs. First of all, this U-shaped graph we refer to as a parabola. That is what we actually call these graphs. They're called parabolas. Few important pieces of the graph. This very center point, we refer to that point as the vertex. Okay, it will always be in the dead center. It will either be at the very bottom or the very top of the graph. So those are a couple of vocab words that you will hear me use a lot throughout this unit. So make sure you know, parabola is the name for the curved shape, and vertex is this point always in the dead center. So these graphs, this is what every equation you graph today is going to look like. They're all going to look like curved U-shaped graphs. We are going to eventually learn two different methods for graphing these. So we're going to take a look at the first method today, and that is graphing in what we call standard form. This is standard form, and we should be comfortable with that equation because we used this form when we were doing the quadratic formula. When we were doing factoring, we always had ax squared plus bx plus c. So let's talk about the steps to graphing these. The first thing we need to do is obviously find the vertex. Well, the vertex has two numbers. It has an x coordinate and a y coordinate. So to find the x coordinate, write down this very simple but important formula. And that formula is negative b divided by 2a. This is a formula you must memorize. It is used to find the x coordinate of the vertex. Now, once you have the x coordinate, notice the b is coming from right there, the a is coming from right there. Then you need to find the y coordinate. And this is a very simple task to do as well. You are going to take and plug the x value that you just got back into this original equation and solve for the y value. Then, these two numbers, the one that you find here and the one that you find down here, are paired together to make your vertex. After you have the vertex, my only requirement is that you have 1 point additional on each side of the vertex. So to find that point, you're going to use the a value. Okay, that would be the number here in front of x squared as what we call the slope. Now it's a little different than what we've done in the past. Okay, a is always going to be how much you go up or down. Even if a is a fraction, that tells you how much you go up or down. Then you will always move one left and one right. Once you have your vertex and a point on each side of the vertex, you have 3 points, then you simply draw your parabola and make sure it is a smooth U-shaped curve. So that being said, we are going to try a couple together and you're going to try a couple on your own. So let's look at example 1. Now, if it is helpful to label A, B, and C, let's go ahead and do that. The imaginary number in front of x squared is a 1, so A is 1, B is 2, and C is 3. The first thing we need to do is find our vertex. To find our vertex, we start with x, and our formula is x equals negative b divided by 2a. Negative b divided by 2a. Well, the negative, I would also suggest using the word opposite. The opposite of b, the opposite of 2 is negative 2, divided by 2 times a, which is 1. Do your multiplying on the bottom first. Negative 2 divided by 2 times 1 is 2. And then in your calculator, negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1. So there's half your vertex. Let's take a look at the next part of it, and that is finding your y value. This is where people want to make mistakes. As we look at the directions, it says plug the x value we just found back into your equation. So we're going to put that value here and here. So y equals 1, there's x. In parentheses, I'm going to put negative 1, close parentheses, squared, plus 2, there's x again. In parentheses, I'm going to put negative 1, plus 3. At this point, don't make a bunch of mistakes and try and do too much. Your calculator will do everything for you. Pick up your calculators and type in 1, parentheses, negative 1, close parentheses, hit the squared button, plus 2, parentheses, negative 1, close parentheses, plus 3. If you do it all at one time, it will spit out the correct answer for you, and that correct answer is 2. So our vertex is negative 1, comma 2. The only other thing we need is what we call the slope. Remember, back here it says A is always how much you go up or down, then you always go one left and one right. So our slope, the A value, is 1. So our slope is going to be 1 over 1. So now that we have this important information right here, we're going to graph it. Start with your vertex. Left 1, up 2. Left 1, up 2. Now, our slope. Again, this is a little different. You cannot repeat the slope. You can do it one time only. You're going to go up 1, and then to the left and right 1. So up 1 and right 1, and up 1 and left 1. They should be mirror images of each other. Once you have those three, then you can simply draw in from here, curve up to the right, come back here, curve up to the left. I don't want to see a V. I want to see a curve. Let's try another one together. Then you're going to try one on your own. So again, let's label our important numbers. A is 1/2. B is an imaginary negative 1, and yes, I said negative. C is negative 6. So we need to do x equals negative b, or opposite of b, over 2a. The opposite of b, the opposite of negative 1 is positive 1, over 2 times a is 1/2. Do the bottom part first. 1 divided by 2 times 1 divided by 2. That's what you type in the calculator. Your calculator should tell you it's a 1. And 1 divided by 1 is 1. Now, we got to find the other piece. That's the y. So we put this 1 here and there. So 1/2 parentheses 1 close parentheses squared minus 1 parentheses 1 minus 6. All I did was I took and I put my 1 right there and right there. Pick up your calculators. Type it in exactly how I say it. 1 divided by 2, parentheses, 1, close parentheses. Hit the squared button, minus 1, parentheses, 1, close parentheses, minus 6. And your calculator should spit out the number negative 6.5. And yes, decimals are okay. So our vertex is positive 1, comma, negative 6.5. Now our slope. Again, remember, A, which is 1/2, is how much we go up or down. That number is not your slope. Your slope is not 1/2. It is 1/2 over 1. We will always go left and right 1. So this is kind of new. Let me show you how to do it. First, let's graph this. We're going to go right 1 and then down 6.5 boxes. So right 1 and down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then a half a box. Now, we are going to go. This is all together. Since it's positive, we're going to go up half a box and then left and right 1. So from here, a half a box puts us right there at the cross. Then we're going to go right 1 and left 1 to make a mirror image. What should happen here is that this graph should be a little wider because we're connecting that direction. Notice we didn't go up as fast. This graph should be wider. I don't want to see you connect them and then go straight up. That's not how this works. Okay, they need to be wider when you have fractions. So now what I would like you to do, pause the video and try this example completely on your own. Okay, so let's see how you did. A is negative 3, B is 12, C is negative 5. So x equals negative b over 2a. So the opposite of b, the opposite of 12 is negative 12, divided by 2 times a, which is negative 3. You should have kept the negative 12. 2 times negative 3 was negative 6. And negative 12 divided by negative 6 is a positive 2. So then you should have plugged positive 2 where both x's are. It should look like y equals negative 3 parentheses 2 close parentheses squared plus 12 parentheses 2 minus 5. After you typed all of that in the calculator, you should have gotten y equals 7. So your vertex is 2, 7, and your slope, A was negative 3, so negative 3 over 1. Hopefully you had all of that information correct. Putting it on the picture, I'm going to go right 2 and up 7. So right 2, up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is a negative 3. So I'm going to go down 3 and then left and right 1. So 1, 2, 3 down to the right 1, and then to the left one. So if you notice, compared to our last graph, this one should be much skinnier because we got to go down real quick to get to those dots. Down real quick. So hopefully you should see that whole numbers make it skinnier, fractions make it wider. Let's do the last one together. And then we're going to look at a couple more vocab words. So A is negative 1 over 4, B is 3, C is negative 3. X equals negative B over 2A. So I need the opposite of B. The opposite of 3 is negative 3 divided by 2 times A is negative 1 over 4. Okay. So, negative 3 divided by, if you type in your calculator 2 times negative 1 divided by 4, you should get negative 0.5. Yes, that's okay. Because you're not done with the calculator yet. Negative 3 divided by negative 0.5, the calculator should tell you is a positive 6. So now we're going to put this guy where both x's are. Negative 1 divided by 4, parentheses, 6, close parentheses squared, plus 3, parentheses, 6, close parentheses, minus 3. And again, that's exactly how you type it in the calculator. Negative 1 divided by 4, parentheses 6, close parentheses squared, plus 3, parentheses 6, close parentheses, minus 3. And your calculator should tell you that y is also 6. So your vertex is 6 comma 6. Now your slope. What's your a value? Well, your a value is negative 1/4. So we have negative 1/4, but again, that's just your a. We have to put it over 1. So let's put this on a graph. We're going to go right 6 and up 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We are going to go down 1/4 of a box. Yes, you're going to have to approximate. And left and right 1. So down 1/4 of a box and right 1. Down 1/4 of a box and left 1. So if you notice, look at how wide this parabola is. It's even wider than the 1/2 because of that fraction. So hopefully this, you're thinking, oh, that's not too bad. Using a formula, plugging something in, putting it on the graph. We have just a couple of vocab words, then one more example. When we talk about parabolas, which is what these are, and we talk about the vertex is that dead center point, we use the words maximum and minimum value a lot. So write down the definition. So a maximum value, if a parabola opens down, in other words, it looks like this, I call it a frowny parabola. The vertex of the parabola, which is the dead center, is the highest point on the parabola, which you can obviously see, and so we call it a maximum, and it has a maximum value. We're going to do the same thing for minimum. I'll give you a moment to write it down. It says, if a parabola opens up, I call these smiley parabolas, the vertex, which is the dead middle of the parabola, is obviously the lowest point on the graph, and it's called the minimum value. So when you are looking for maximums and minimums, you need to know, does the graph open up or does the graph open down? And the easy way you know that, okay, we're going to add some notes here. The maximum value, a parabola opens down when A is negative. And a parabola opens up when A is positive. So add those to your notes. So we're going to look at one example like this and then we're done. So first question, is the vertex a maximum or a minimum? So let's look for that A value. Well, we know A is -2, B is -10, and C is 7. So because A is -2, it's negative. When A is negative, the graph opens down, so we have a maximum. So that's how easy that part was. Now they actually want us to know what is the maximum or minimum value. In other words, how high really does it go? So when they ask for the maximum or minimum value, they're asking for the y value of the vertex. So we just got to find the vertex. So let's do exactly what we did on the graphs. X equals opposite of B over 2A. Well, the opposite of B, the opposite of -10 is +10 over 2 times A, which is -2. So we have 10 divided by, well, hopefully you know 2 times -2 is -4. And then when you pick up your calculators, 10 divided by -4 is -2.5. Now, because we need the y value, we're going to plug this guy in where the two x's are. Y equals -2. There's x, so parentheses, -2.5. Close parentheses, squared, minus 10, parentheses, -2.5, close parentheses, plus 7. Pick up your calculators, hit -2, parentheses, -2.5, close parentheses, hit the squared button, minus 10, open parentheses, -2.5, close parentheses, plus 7, and your calculator should tell you that y is 19.5, and that number right there is your maximum value. So those are the two things I wanted to see, maximum and 19.5. And that's the end of the lesson.